management of all the costs associated to the project. Yes, anyone else? I've gotten only 2 answers. Are we only 2 in the class? I believe that we are 33. Okay, now this is a good one. Project management is the, let me read this. Includes the processes involved in planning, estimating, budgeting, financing. Yeah, okay. Project cost management is the skills, tools, and ways we can manage the finance and value of the cost of the project. Good. Process of fund management. All right. Now, project cost management includes the processes involved in planning, estimating, budgeting, financing, funding, managing, and controlling costs so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. Now you can see that there are some keywords there, all right? Planning is a keyword, estimating, budgeting, then there's the financing and funding part, and then managing and controlling the costs. Now, this diagram gives us a bit of what the project cost management processes are. The first process is that of defining how the project costs will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored, and controlled. So it's the planning process. In that process, we plan the cost management. Now, the second process is that of estimating the cost. And this involves the process of developing an approximation of the monetary resources needed to complete project work. While the third process is determining budget, which is the process of aggregating the estimated costs of individual activities or work packages to establish an authorized cost baseline. And then we then use that cost baseline to control costs in the fourth process, which is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project costs and manage changes to the cost baseline. Now, let's bear in mind some key concepts in looking at project cost management. It is primarily concerned with the cost of the resources needed to complete project activities. So project cost management should consider the effect of project decisions on the subsequent recurring cost of using, maintaining, and supporting the product, service, or result of the project. For example, limiting the number of design reviews can reduce the cost of the project, but could increase the resulting product of operating costs. So if project reviews are not done, if project reviews are not completed, if enough project reviews are not done, the product may not be improved to the point where operating costs could be reduced. Because in an iterative process of developing a product, the project development of developing a product, you might not be able to get some of the things that would have been found if the product had been reviewed over and over. Then in that process, some things would have been discovered and corrected, and eventually the overall product cost would have been could be reduced. Now, another aspect of cost management is recognizing that different stakeholders measure project costs in different ways and at different times. So, for example, the cost of an acquired item may be measured when the acquisition decision is made or committed, the order is placed, the item is delivered, or the actual cost is incurred or recorded for project accounting purposes. So, bearing that in mind, if this is not taken into consideration properly, different stakeholders will have a different understanding of project cost management. Now, there are also certain trends and emerging practices that we need to take into consideration when looking at project cost management. Now, within the practice of project cost management, normally, trends include the expansion of end value management to include the concept of end schedule. End schedule is an extension to the theory and practice of end value management. End schedule theory replaces the schedule variance measures used in traditional end value management. Now, end value management is where you measure what is end, the value of what is end in the project. Now, that has been expanded to include the concept of end schedule, which is an extension of the end value management, and replace the schedule variance, which measures, the schedule variance measures used in traditional end value management, which means you subtract planned value from end value. That is what schedule variance means. Now, end schedule theory replaces that of the normal schedule variance measure. Now, there are also certain considerations that are needed to tailor project cost management. Now, these include knowledge management. Does the organization have the formal knowledge management and financial database repository that the project manager is required to use and that is readily accessible? The second consideration would be estimating and budgeting. Does the organization have existing formal or informal cost estimating and budgeting related policies, procedures, and guidelines? The third will be end value management, which I mentioned earlier. Does the organization use end value management in managing projects? The fourth is the use of agile approach. Does the organization use agile methodologies in managing projects? And how does this impact cost estimating? And the fifth is governance. Does the organization have formal or informal audit and governance policies, procedures, and guidelines? These are all things to consider when looking at project cost management. Now, there are also some considerations to make when you're looking at agile or adaptive environments. Projects with high degrees of uncertainty, or those where the scope is not yet fully defined, may not benefit from detailed cost calculations due to frequent changes. So because of frequent changes, you might have a situation where it will be difficult to stick with project cost management. Instead, lightweight estimation methods can be used to generate a fast, high-level forecast of project labor costs, which can then be easily adjusted as change arises. Detailed estimates are reserved for short-term planning horizons in a just-in-time fashion. In cases where high variability projects are also subject to strict budgets, the scope and schedule are more often adjusted to stay within. Now, let's look at the project cost management processes. Now, remember, the first process is that of planning. Now, so planned cost management is the first process. And in this process, this is the process of defining how the project costs will be estimated, budgeted, managed, monitored, and controlled. So in this process, you define all the resources that are required, and then you determine how will they be estimated. Would you use, would you just get estimates, or would you get actual cost estimates from the different vendors? How would you do your budgeting? Would you do your budgeting based on what method would you use to do your budgeting? How would you manage it? How would you monitor, and how would you control? In this planning process, all these are determined and those policies are set so that it can guide the whole process. Now, the key benefits of this process is that it provides guidance and direction on how the project costs will be managed throughout the project. This process is performed once and or at predefined points in the project. Now, this diagram gives us the whole process of plan cost management. And here you have the inputs. The inputs to plan cost management would be the project charter, and then your project management plan, on where you have your schedule management plan and your risk management plan, and then your enterprise environmental factors, and then on your organizational process as asset. You would use all these inputs, and then you would use the tools and techniques of expert judgment, data analysis, and meetings, and then the output you will get will be your cost management plan. Now, the second process is that of estimating costs. Now, in estimating costs, this is the process of developing an approximation of the cost of resources needed to complete the project work. Now, the key benefit of this process is that it determines the monetary resources required for the project. And this process is performed periodically throughout the project as needed. Now, in that process, you would use, the inputs you would use are the project management plan, and specifically the cost management plan, the quality management plan, and the scope baseline. Then secondly, you will use your project documents, specifically lessons learned register, project schedule, resource requirements, risk register, and then the enterprise and environmental factors, and then your organizational process assets. Now, you would use those together, and then the tools and techniques you would use will be expert judgment, analogous estimating, parametric estimating, bottom-up estimating, three-point estimating. These are different estimating techniques. And then you can use your data analysis, alternative data analysis, reserve analysis, cost of quality, then your project management information system, and then your decision-making could either be by voting or whatever other method that is being agreed in during your planning process. And then your outputs will be your cost estimates, your basis of estimates, your project documents updates in terms of your assumption log, your lessons learned register, and your risk register. Now, this is where when you look at the inputs, you would see your lessons learned register. Now, that is where the knowledge base, remember that earlier on I talked about key considerations, including the knowledge base in the organization. So your lessons learned register and your risk register will be important, are important aspects of your knowledge base. Probably the first time you develop, you're doing a project, there are certain things you would not know. And as you go along, you will find that you would not have determined during your processes or your planning processes, your costing processes, and so on. And during the process of implementation, you will find that, for example, you'll find that in your, if you were constructing a building, you'll find that you have determined certain processes need to be done. Okay, let me give an example. So you're doing your roofing, and then you determine that, okay, you could put your roof, maybe you're using a particular kind of roof, let's say the stone-coated roof. And then you put your roof, and then maybe your roof, you have certain portions of the building that need to be plastered, and they are overlooking the roof. And then you can find that in the process of plastering, you'll find that the mortar from the concrete will stain the roof. And because it's stone-coated roof, it might be difficult to remove that mortar from it once it dries off. So if you do it the first time without knowing, you might find out that subsequently you may need to have plastered, okay, plastered and maybe screeded, and if possible, maybe even painted before you put the roof covering, so that those stains don't come on the roof. Now, if you've done it before, it will then be reflected in your lessons learned register, and that will determine your costing and your scheduling of your costing. So those are some of the why it's very important that your knowledge base be used in terms of your estimating your costs. Now, the next, the third process is that of determining budget. This is the process of aggregating the estimated costs of individual activities or work packages to establish an authorized costs baseline. Now, the key benefit of this process is that it determines the cost baseline against which project performance can be monitored and controlled. This process is performed once or at predefined points in the project. So you could have milestones where you look at your project, look at your budget, and then you control it. Sorry, not control it. You take a look at it and then refine it or rework it, before you continue. Now, in this process, the inputs are your cost management plan, your resource management plan, and your scope baseline. Okay, under your project management plan. While you also have your project documents, and the key project documents here are basis of estimates, your cost estimates. Now remember, your basis of estimates were determined from during this process, and then your cost estimates determined during this process, and then your project schedule determined earlier in the process, and then your risk register. And then your business documents, which include the business case, the benefits management plan, and then your agreements, your enterprise environmental factors, your organizational process assets, and all these are synthesized with your expert judgment, your cost aggregation, data analysis, historical information review, funding limit reconciliation, and then your financing. And then the outputs are your cost baseline, your project funding requirements, your project documents updates made up specifically of your cost estimates, your project schedule, and your risk register. Now, the fourth process is that of controlling costs. Now, this is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project costs and managing changes to the cost. The key benefit of this process is that the cost baseline is maintained throughout the project. This process is performed throughout the project. Now, the key inputs for controlling costs are your project management plan, your cost management plan. Now, sorry, under your project management plan, you have specifically your cost management plan, your cost baseline, your performance measurement baseline, your project documents, specifically your lessons learned register, your project funding requirements, your work performance data, your organizational process assets. Now, these are all synthesized with your expert judgment, your data analysis, specifically end value analysis, variance analysis, trend analysis, reserve analysis, and then your to complete performance index and project management information system. And your outputs will be your work performance information, your cost forecasts, change requests, project management plan updates, specifically made up of your cost management plan, your cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. Now, these were inputs that would have been improved based on your controlling cost process, and then you will then have how you will control the costs in the included in those inputs, and that is what you will get in your output. And then your project document updates that you will get will be your assumption log, your basis of estimate, your cost of estimates, your cost estimate, your lesson learned register, and your risk register. They will all be improved during this process. Now, important items to note or issues to note. Updating the budget would require the knowledge of the actual costs spent to date. So in the process of controlling, for you to be able to update the budget, you will need to have actual costs spent to date. Now, any increase to the authorized budget can only be approved through the perform integrated change control process. So that needs to be incorporated in your control process. Monitoring the expenditure of funds without regard to the value of work being accomplished for such expenditures has little value to the project other than to track the outflow of funds. Much of the effort of cost control involves analyzing the relationship between the consumption of project funds and the work being accomplished for such expenditures. And the key to effective cost control is the management of the approved cost baseline. That's a very, very, very important aspect. So the approved cost baseline is important to monitor the whole cost process from the beginning to the end of the process. Now, project cost control includes influencing the factors that create changes to the authorized cost baseline. So you need factors that could influence, that could cause changes to the authorized cost baseline. Could include cost changes in cost of materials, could include changing the cost of labor, could include various factors. So part of project cost control would be influencing those factors. Now, ensuring that all change requests are acted on in a timely manner. Otherwise, you could have cost variation. And then managing the actual changes when and as they occur. Ensuring that cost expenditures do not exceed the authorized funding by period or by work breakdown structure component or by activity, and in the final analysis by total for the project. Preventing unapproved changes from being included in the reported cost or resource usage. Informing appropriate stakeholders of all approved changes and associated costs, and bringing expected cost overruns within acceptable limits. Thank you. So that is the end of my slides. So I would so thank you. So can we take questions or any questions? Hello?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Dikin Pela.
Can you guys hear me?
Thank you very much. Please, if you have questions, feel free to ask your questions now. I'm sure we have come to the end of the class with Dikin Pela, and this is the time where you get to ask questions. Please feel free to ask your questions. You either put them in the chat room where we could read out the questions, or you simply use the raise hand feature so we could unmute you and then you have the chance to ask your questions. Okay, so looking at the chat room, it appears we don't have questions. Everything Dr. Pela said was very understood. Thank you so much, Dr. Pela. Next, we have Dr. Benito. I really do not need to introduce him because you know him already. He will be coming up to take another class, and it's going to be on quality management. So I would crave your undivided attention as I invite him to come and take this class. Thank you so much, Dr. Pela, but we invite Dr. Benito right now. You have our attention now, sir.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Honorable Pela, for that wonderful lecture this early morning. That was a biggest teaser for today. So thank you so much. And thank you, Princess, for the wonderful work you're doing. I want to confirm that everyone can hear me loud and clear. Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, I will need you to help me type 1 in the chat room. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The King Pela had done a very great work by introducing this class this morning, and that was really awesome. My class was supposed to be in the afternoon, but since we have a very great time before 8:45, I think we start on a project quality management. And let's see how we can be as fast as Honorable Pela. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to be using what do they call it now? I'm going to be using PMBOK. I'm going to be explaining straight from PMBOK. So if you have your PMBOK with you, maybe we could be doing it together. I don't want to use slide this morning. I want to use PMBOK straight, so we could capture everything that need to be captured. And I trust we can all see the screen. Please, if you can see the screen clearly, please help me type 22 in the chat room. If you can see the screen clearly, please help me type 22 in the chat room. You can see the screen clearly. All right, thank you so much. So I was the first person to introduce this class in the introductory section. And one of the things we established was that project is bounded by time, scope, and budget. And all of these are in parallel to quality. So in essence, quality will be determined by the scope, quality will be determined by the schedule, quality will be determined by the budget or the resources involved in the project. So that's a very good foundation to lay. So that being said, we will now look at what quality is on itself. I can remember the day we introduced this class, so many people asked a lot of questions on what are the things involved in quality. And I said to us that by the time we get to quality management, we'll have all the time to look at quality. All right. Okay, so because of the fact that I'm going through from PM Box straight, the characters might be smaller. So I will appreciate if you can open, that's if you're not seeing it very clearly, I may require you to open the project management book of knowledge on your system so that you can all see it clearly, or we can all see it clearly. All right. Okay, so from what we have here, we have the project quality management includes the processes for incorporating the organization's quality policy regarding planning, managing, and controlling project and product quality requirements in order to meet stakeholders' objectives. I would like us to pay key attention to some of the keywords that will be coming out from this session. Project quality management includes the processes for incorporating the quality of the organization's quality policy regarding quality planning, regarding management of quality, regarding controlling quality in project and product quality requirements in order to meet stakeholders' objectives. So quality is, or quality management is towards meeting up the stakeholders' objectives in the project deliverable. All right. Okay, so project quality management also supports continuous process improvement activities as undertaken on behalf of the performing organization. So we keep hearing things like total quality management. We'll keep hearing things like Six Sigma, lean quality management, and all of that. So all of these, we also hear of continuous quality improvement. All of these avenues to manage quality better. All right. So that is very, very important. Okay, that is very, very important. Okay, for the people that are asking me to enlarge the screen, can you see the screen better off now? All right, so the processes, the management processes involved in quality management are the plan quality management, the manage quality, and the control quality. So I have three processes here. According to the project management book of knowledge, the 6th edition, will have three quality management processes. The first one, plan quality management, is the process of identifying quality requirements and or standards for the project and its deliverables, and documenting how the project will demonstrate compliance with quality requirements and or standards. So it's all about identifying quality requirements and or standard for the project and its deliverables, and then documenting how the project will demonstrate compliance with quality requirements and or standards. Then the second thing there is the manage quality, which is the process of translating the quality management plan into executable quality activities that incorporate the organization's quality policies into the project. So under the manage quality, we have to look at the quality management strategies, the quality management activities, the quality assurance activities that will ensure that the project objective, the quality of the project deliverable, will be met at the end of the day. And that will be in line with the organization's quality policy. That will have the control quality, which is the process of monitoring and recording the results of executing the quality management activities to assess performance and ensure that the project outputs are complete, correct, and meet customers' expectations. So whenever we talk about controlling qualities, just to ensure that whatsoever that was established in the quality management plan as the objective of quality in the project are achieved at the end of the project. And it's important to note that where there is quality deviations, the stakeholder is bound to reject the project. Where there is quality deviation, or where there are high degrees of variations in the project quality, the project stakeholder is bound to reject the work, and that will result to a rework or repetition or redo of the work. So it's important to pay attention to quality control as to ensure that whatsoever thing that has been established in the quality management plan are well carried out to the latter. All right. Okay, so I trust this introduction is a good one for us. So let's quickly look at the diagram, the map of what quality management is all about. So in summary, we have the summary of quality management in this diagram, the overview. So I have the plan quality management. Under it, we'll have the inputs, we'll have the tools and techniques, and we'll have the outputs. Then we'll have the managed quality to incorporate inputs, tools and techniques, and the outputs. Then we'll have the control quality to incorporate the inputs, tools and techniques, and the outputs as well. Now, these are all of the things we are going to be looking at in this quality management. The truth is, if you can actually understand this overview, you've actually understood everything that has to do, or has understood to a great degree, everything that has to do with quality management. So the first one, in summary, plan quality management. In the input, we have project charter, we have project management plan, we have project documents, we have enterprise environmental factors, and we have organizational process assets. And since we've been hearing all of this over and over again, we'll keep hearing in the inputs, project charter getting repeated, project management plan getting repeated, project documents being repeated, enterprise environmental factors being repeated, and organizational process assets being repeated. But I want to ask a question, and I would like 5 people to make their contributions open. And the five people will be answering the question, why do we need project charter? That will be for the first person. Why do we need project management plan? That will be for the second person. Why do we need project documents? Why do we need enterprise environmental factors? And why do we need organizational process assets? So we've been hearing of this over and over again, right from the time we talked about project integration. So we understand what project charter is. We understand what project management plan is. We understand what project documents are. We understand what enterprise environmental factors are. We understand what organizational process assets are. So now that we know them before now, why do we need these inputs for planning of quality? Please, if your hand can go up, I think I will appreciate the voice. I will appreciate the voice. I will appreciate the voice if you can hear me, and you can raise your hand. I would like to appreciate voice. Okay, Princess, please kindly unmute Engineer Simon. Let's hear from him. Princess, can you hear me?
Yeah, I have unmuted him. Please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Mbadon Simeon. I want to answer the first question, which is why do we need project charter? We need project charter because we formally authorize the existence of the project and provide the reference source of the future for the project. The charter gives the directions and sense of purpose for the management of, from the conception to the end of the project. So that is why we need the project charter. So because it's a reference point in the process of carrying out the project, the process of executions, your reference is the project charter, because that comprises all the deliverables, all they need to do to check performance. So that is why you need the project charter. I don't know whether I've done justice to that.
Okay, thank you so much. That's actually a great point and valid point. So the project charter is the basic reference point. So that's where the first where the vision, the objectives were first established, where the first requirements were first established, stakeholders requirements were first established. So that's why we need a project charter in quality management. So I want us to follow all this together so that it will not look as though we are calling words or calling things that are not applicable. So we understand why that is needed. Now, can somebody help? Why do we need a project management plan in planning quality management? Please, someone, please raise your hand. I'm sure we are all good to go this morning. So please, I will need more hands up. Let's discuss this. Remember, it's an interactive class, and don't feel bad about saying what you know. So can we go ahead? I need more hands up. All right. Please kindly unmute Uti Addison. Let's hear from you.
You've been unmuted, sir. Please go ahead. Uti Addison.
All right, Uti Addison, if you
Hello?
can be here. All right, please go
Yeah, we
ahead.
can hear you now.
Okay. When we are talking about, please, good morning, sir.
Good morning. You're welcome, sir.
Okay, sir. When we talk about the quality management plan, the reason why it is needed is because it describes all the implement, the quality and the policies. It also describes the project quality that is needed for the organization to achieve their goal. All the responsibilities, all the structures, all the procedures, all the resources that is needed. That is the only thing that can give a goal or achieve the project that is held by the organization.
All right, sir. That's good. That's great. I guess you're interchanging a project management plan with quality management plan. But the descriptions you are giving, we are relating to what we are talking about. So thank you so much.
Sir.
So in the project management plan, we'll have the quality management plan inside of the project management plan. Remember, when we are dealing with project integration management, one of the activities there was direct and manage project execution. In the input, we had output from other planning processes. And one of such planning processes was the project quality management plan. So the project management plan contains the project quality management plan as a subset. Okay, so it's important we go back to the project management plan as to know what the quality management plan is all about. And that's why we need it in designing the quality. All right, so the next one is the project documents. So can someone help us? Why do we need project documents in planning quality management? Please feel free to raise your hand. Okay, so we have Ahmed Teniola Alade. Please kindly unmute Ahmed Teniola Alade and let's hear from him, please.
You've been unmuted. Please go ahead.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ahmed.
Yeah, because as part of the project documents, you have a requirements document also. With the requirement documents, you know what is expected of any deliverable that is given. And also you are able to, as part of the documents, you also have the stakeholder who is in charge of checking the quality. Because in a project, there is always someone from the internet that is attached to the project that would monitor the quality you are giving at the end of any milestone or product that is delivered. And also, at times, you also need a kind of risks register to know whether, as in what is delivered, because at times the right quality might not be met, and you have to know whether what is given to you will not create risk, like as in where you are creating a step for handicap. if it is too slippery, you know that it's going to be very dangerous. So as a part of the requirements document, we relate that and would also assess the risk. I believe I've done a little justice to this.
Okay, so thank you so much, Teniola. That was wonderful. Okay, so the project document contains things like the stakeholders register, the checklist, the requirement, and all of those assumptions log being part of the things that can also. So the project document has enough information that can be used in planning for quality. Okay, the initial definition of scope. Okay, so we have all of that. So that will also help us. Okay, that will also help us. All right, I saw Read one raising his hand, but it's like he had brought it down. So we need someone to talk about the enterprise environmental factors. Enterprise environmental factors and organizational process asset. Why do we need EF and why do we need OPA? So someone will take EF and someone will take OPA. All right, please, let's go ahead. Wasiu, please. Kindly unmute Wasiu, please.
You're muted now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everyone.
You're welcome, Wasiu. Good morning. Please, Wasiu, you can go ahead.
Yeah. When we talk about the enterprises environmental factor, okay, when we talk about the enterprises environmental factor, why do we need it in quality management? Those are the environmental factors. It can be internal, it can be external, that can hinder the project processes. When we are talking about the weather, culture, organizational, when we are talking about the weather, the culture, those are the things that can hinder the process, access, the government regulation, and etc. So the quality management will be required to
So sorry, sir, your network is breaking. We can't hear you that clearly.
Environmental factors environmental factors achieved for the success. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Although your network was breaking, but I'm sure I was able to pick one or two things from what we are saying. So you mentioned about the environmental factors like culture, weather, government policies, and other conditions that could affect quality, and that is awesome. Now, I want us to also specifically get to note that when you're designing quality, okay, you're designing quality for customers, isn't it? So in the EF, we also need things like market conditions to determine the quality. We also need things like market demand. We also need to understand the characteristics of consumers for that particular market we want to produce for, or the particular market we want to carry out the project. So these factors will help in shaping the quality at the end of the day. Okay, so it's important we get to understand all of these internally generated factors and externally motivated factors that can hinder quality. All right. You remember when we talked about the feasibility study during initiation, project initiation, one of the steps or one of the activities was conducting feasibility study. And the essence of conducting feasibility study was to justify the validity of the business case that was generated. So we want to take the business case, the value proposition we have, we want to move it from what we think is good to going to find out from the customers whether that's what the best thing for them to have. Okay, so the EF is very, very important in designing quality. All right, so thank you so much, Wasi. That was awesome. Okay, so finally we have the organizational process asset. Teniola was once again raising his hand. So please, can we have the last person to talk about that? Teniola was once raising his hand. Okay, please, let's kindly unmute Teniola.
You're muted now. Please go ahead.
Hello. Once again,
Yes, Teniola, welcome back once again.
Yeah, in the organization process assets, we talked about policies and procedures. So part of the policies might be the standard guiding the industry as regards the quality of products that has to be delivered. For example, during this corona, there are some companies coming up with vaccines whose policy as regards standards has to be met as regards the quality of vaccines as being produced. So there are stages of quality checks that are outlined by WHO. Probably is 3. So as in these stages have to be met for there to be, because organization OPAs are all about policies and the procedures that has to be met for a product to be acceptable. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Teniola, for that. So from Teniola's draft, there are policies, there are procedures, there are methodologies that must be considered while carrying out or while designing quality of a product. And those things must be in compliance or conformance to certain quality standards. So that's why you see a product A having a deviation from product B due to what? Due to different OPAs that were used during the processing of such quality. So importantly, the OPA is very key in drawing up quality management. Now, in my classes and in IPM, actually, you remember what we always try to do is to make sure that you understand what we are talking about. Okay, it's not really about reading out the lecture notes or reading out the slides and then going. I'm so impressed that we're all on the same page and we understand where these things are coming from. Because in the next one, I may be faster than this so that somebody will not say, I don't understand. All right, so I'm going to ask a question. If you understand why all of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items are now important inputs for designing quality, if you understand why they are really, really necessary, please type 1 in the chat room. If you don't understand them, please feel free to tell us which one you don't understand, which one you think is not, you don't understand why you should be there. Okay. All right, so I'm just seeing a few 1 in the chat room. Doesn't mean that a good number of people don't understand it. Okay, so why carrying out our projects? These are certain things we need to put into consideration while designing quality. Okay, all right. Okay, the one you understand is charter and paragraph documentation. So you don't understand the others. No. Okay, don't worry. By the time we get done, you will understand them. Okay, so let's get to the tools and techniques for planning quality. The tools and techniques for planning quality management. The tools and techniques for planning quality management. The tools and techniques for planning quality management. So the first one we have there is the expert judgment. And because of time, I may just have to go through this. Please, I just need us to pay attention. Where you don't understand, just pinpoint. I will definitely come back to them. Okay. So expert judgment, who is an expert? In a simple way, you can call an expert a professional. You can call an expert a consultant. You can call an expert a subject matter expert. So when we say expert judgment, we are simply saying we want to consult with someone that perhaps has more knowledge and experience on this subject to make better decisions. That's what we are talking about in expert judgment. So to get to have an expert judgment as part of the tools and techniques for planning quality management, what this simply means is we need to get professionals involved, or get people with higher levels of knowledge and experience involved in the project we want to do. Now, if you notice, in most projects, we always have project consultants. Those project consultants are who we are in this case calling experts. And the counsel they give, or the consultancy they give, is what we are calling the expert judgment. So the expert judgment will help us in analyzing all of the quality, help us in determining whether the quality we are trying to justify is really necessary or not. It will also help us to create a quality standard that the market will be able to accept. Okay, so that is very, very important. Then we'll have data gathering also as part of the tools and techniques for planning quality. Now, if we go back to project initiation, you'll find out that feasibility study is a very good tool for gathering data. Okay, feasibility study is a very good tool for gathering data, as it helps us with market survey, customer survey, and every other survey we have to do as regards to the product and the quality we want to generate. So in gathering data, we can use feasibility study as a basic tool. Then when we gather this data, we can now analyze this data. Okay. You remember we talked about, jokingly, we talked about things like significance levels of information using things like the ANOVA. Okay, like the ones they taught us in statistics in school those days. Okay, so when you generate all those data, which are now parametric in nature, okay, the data you generated from market survey will be parametric in nature, although the data can also be analogous. That's using previous knowledge from project done. So that could also be analogous. But whether it's analogous or parametric, we need to analyze the data to find relevance. Okay, to find if we can go on with such quality we have been able to gather data on, or we should keep it aside. So data analysis is also very, very important. And there are simple tools we can use in analyzing this data. You can use a chart, you can use a graph, you can use a table, you can use a pie chart, you can use a histogram, you can use any statistical tool that you can easily read and understand. Okay, so you can plot graph of degree of acceptance of a particular quality versus the quality standards. Okay, then you run it against the number of people who accept, reject, or tolerate such quality standards. So that analysis is also key in planning quality. Now we have the decision making. We've talked about decision making in subsequent classes. Well, I would say decision making can be by voting, which is the nominal approach or the democratic approach of decision making, where all team members will be involved in decision making. Then we can also have the autocratic decision making, or the Delphi decision making, or the master decision making, where only one person, it could be the expert in this case, It could be the project manager in this case. It could also be the decision of the stakeholder, okay, as to what quality is. That will become a one-way decision-making approach, all right? Then we'll have the multi-criteria decision-making approach, in which case it could be a 360 degrees approach to deciding whether the quality initiated will be the best for the project product or not, and whether it will be able to satisfy the stakeholders' requirements. Okay, then we have the data representation. So like I just said, we can use any of the statistical tools to represent this data. We can use tables to represent the data. We can use graphs. We can use pie chart. We can use bar chart. Whichever statistical tool that best suits your understanding, you can use them to represent data. Okay. Then you have the test and inspection planning. The test and inspection planning. Of course, every quality must be built from prototypes, from simple designs of experiment. All quality must be tested and inspected before commercialization. So we need to find out the best approach to test quality and then make sure that quality of the product is exactly what we want to have. Now, in those days, we were in the university, we used to have things like sensory evaluations, which is just a way to test which of the qualities of the arrays of food products that are given, or food the samples that are given. We want to find out which one is the best one that customers will actually pay attention to. You're not producing that in a large scale, but you're producing it in simple designs or simple prototypes, which will be tested by several customers, okay, to find out, okay, which one will appeal to them. Now, every food product from development stage, from product development stage, must pass through test and inspection to know which one customers will always go for. Okay. Now, in the same way, every product that must be launched into the market need to undergo testing and inspection. Every product need to undergo testing and inspection. So some of the testing, we want to find the degree of conformance to standards, either regulatory standards, internationally, locally, or within a region. Okay. When you want to take your product to, for instance, NAFDAC in Nigeria, you don't produce in commercial quantities. You produce in simple prototypes and then take it for testing. The essence is to find the degree of conformity and the degree of compliance of that particular quality to the product. All right, so every project quality need to be tested and need to be inspected. Then another tool we need for planning is the meetings. Of course, by now we know why we need meetings. To brainstorm. Let's assume we test the product and it didn't meet to conformity. Well, of course, we need to come back to the team and then brainstorm to get the product on conformity, on quality conformity. Let's assume we went for feasibility study and we've all gathered data. Of course, we need to come as a team and then look at those data we've collected to find the relevance and to find the degree of coherence, okay, of those data, okay, the degree of significance of those data. We need to come together and find them out, okay. So meetings is very, very important. All right, then on the output, we now have the quality management plan. Now we have quality metrics. Anytime we have metrics is just numerical indications with certain definitions, numerical indications with certain definitions. So for instance, you say 100 is excellent, 90 is very good, 80 is good, 70 is better, something like that. So whenever you have metrics are numbers that give definitions to certain things or that give measures of discretion to certain things. So when we now say quality metrics, we are now talking about numerical indications that tell us about quality standards, quality conformity, and all of that. Let me give you an example. Those days, I found myself in the food industry, producing sausage, working with a company that produced sausage. So there were these quality metrics. Okay, so you have one has a definition of a color that the product, if it comes out in that color, the one tells you whether you should accept or reject. Then you have two, then you have three. So for instance, in the sausage industry, you have the cream color, which is not acceptable. If you have a baked product, sausage that is completely still milky, you don't accept that completely. Then you have the gold cream color, which is perfect, which could be two. Then you have three. You have the carton color. Then you have four, the black color. Obviously, you know the one now to accept and reject. That's a typical example of quality metrics. Okay. Then you have the project management plan updates, which will be updates based on the meeting outcomes, updates based on the outcome of the testing and the inspection planning, updates based on the contributions of the expert and all of that. Then you also have project document updates. All right, project document updates. All right. Okay, so I've been able to explain the tools and techniques, and I've been able to explain the output. Now, please, if you understand the tools and techniques and the outputs, please, can you type 1 in the chat room? If there is an area you don't understand, please let me know. If you understood the tools and techniques, please help me type 1 in the chat room. If there are areas you don't understand, please do let me know. All right, thank you. All right. So if I can proceed, just help me put 2 in the chat room. If I should proceed, just put 2 in the chat room so I know that we are clear on planning quality. All right, thank you. So I can proceed. Now, I want us to understand something. Remember, after the class today, we will separate this class into groups, and we'll now start working on different projects that we will present to the class at the end of the day. And some of the things that must be done is to ensure that we follow through the 9 knowledge areas in carrying out these projects, right? In carrying out this project. Note, a project mustn't be a financial project. Okay, no, it mustn't be a financial. But if you do a financial project, we will not really recommend that. It's just for you and your team to carry out projects that will be based on writing them down, and for us to see your degree of, okay, we want to check the degree of quality conformance of what we are offering and what you've assimilated. So during the class, during the group sessions and group activities, it's important we assign tasks to ourselves. So some of the group members will be focusing on the planning, some will be focusing on feasibility study, some will be focusing on several things to be focused on. And at the end of the day, we would have been able to get these things done. All right. And they will help us understand these concepts in a better light. There are some of us here who are already project managers, working on several projects per time. While there are some of us these are just our introduction to project management. So we must have a blend of these two parties in the classes, or sorry, in the groups, so that we can be able to create good synergies in learning. All right. That would be awesome. So thank you so much. Now, the next one to now discuss is the management of quality, which is manage quality. Managing quality. Just like we did in the first one, I would also like just 3 persons to tell us, just in your own view, why is project management plan important in project quality management, in managing quality? We need like 3 persons, just 3 hands raised up. Then we need project documents update also. And we need 1 person to talk about the organizational process assets. Please, I will appreciate if you raise your hand, you introduce yourself before you go ahead with your contributions, please. I appreciate if you raise your hand, you then go ahead, introduce yourself, at least your name, before you go ahead with your contribution. Okay, so I'm waiting, just 3 persons, please. Okay, so can you hear me loud and clear? If you can hear me loud and clear, please, I just need 3 persons to make contributions to that. Contributions, please. Oh. Am I on my own? If you can hear me loud and clear, please, can you type 1 in the chat room? If you can hear me loud and clear, let me be sure I'm not on my own. If you can hear me loud and clear, please, can you help me type 1? Okay. So if you can hear me loud and clear, I just need 3 persons to make contributions. Why do we need project management plan in managing quality? Why do we need project documents for management of quality? Why do we need organizational process assets for managing quality? Please, just 3 persons. Just raise your hand. I prefer voice. Are we still together? Okay, so no hand is coming up. All right, so if no hand is coming up, let me proceed. Okay, so finally we'll have somebody to bail us out. Okay, 2 persons. Okay, Princess, please, can you unmute Victor Ochiebu?
You're muted, please. Go ahead.
Please, Victor, can you hear us? You can go ahead with your contribution.
I think his hand is down.
Okay, so let's have Jamil then.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Victor. Kindly go ahead.
Okay, I just want to talk about the second one, project documents.
Okay.
Okay. In project documents, we have the stakeholders' interest written clearly in the project documents of the output of the project, what they want from the project. And that's equally involved the quality of the deliverables of that project. So I believe the project documents will be like a guide and execution of the project to see if the project is actually going to conform to the right quality that is already stated in the document. I believe I made a little input.
Yes, you've made a very great input. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Victor. That was awesome. Okay, can we unmute expertise or wisdom.
Okay. Morning. Are you hearing me from there?
Yes, please. You're welcome, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
You're welcome.
I will talk briefly on project management plan, why we need it in, when we're trying to manage quality.
Yeah.
A project management plan itself defines how the project is executed and how it's going to be monitored, controlled, and closed. And so in managing quality, we will need the project management plan as an input to be able to execute, monitor, control, and close the project.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's excellent. Okay, so we have Wasiu Adebayo. Can you kindly unmute Wasiu?
Good morning once again.
Yes, good morning once again, Wasiu. You're welcome.
Yeah, please, I would like to talk about the reason why we need to manage the quality. I mean, why do we need the organizational process assets in managing the quality?
Okay.
Like, as we all know, are the plans, the process, and procedure put in place by the organization to manage the project, which is going to be required at the stage of managing the quality as well, as it was required when we applied the quality management. So after the quality management, which is the next process, is the manage the quality. So it is going to be required based on the process that has already been in place to manage.
Okay, we've lost him there. Hello, can you hear? Okay. Mr. Benito, he's off. Okay, I think Dr. Benito is having a little technical issues at the moment. Please be patient. He's going to be back shortly.
Hello, Princess, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome back, sir.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Like my device went off, my modem went off. So just give me a second and let me reconnect, please. So sorry for that. I didn't plug it to light. So sorry, but it's coming up right now. Okay, so we are still talking about quality, project quality management. So I'll be up in a moment. All right. So sorry for that network hitch. So sorry. Okay, so we were looking at sorry for that echo. Okay, so we're looking at the inputs for managing quality. Okay, the inputs for managing quality. Please, I would like to remind us that the attendance for this class will be shared by the end of this class, and that will be around 8:30. So we'll be sharing the attendance. Okay, thank you. So we've been able to gather from the contribution so far why we need project management plan, why we need project document, and what she was talking on our project organizational process assets before my system went up. All right. So project management plan, just as said by one of the contributions, the project management plan contains the quality management plan, which will help us in managing the quality of the project. Then the project documents will have the stakeholders' expectations and all of the feasibility data analysis and all of that. So they also help us. Then we'll have the organizational process as we're talking about the policies and procedures, the methodologies within the organization to help in quality management. They will also help in managing quality. Now, in the tools and techniques, we'll have the data gathering, which we've explained. We'll have data analysis, we'll have decision making, we'll have data representation, then we'll have audits. Then we'll have design for X and problem solving, then we'll have quality improvement methods. So let's talk about audits as way of managing quality. Audit is simply checking to find out if what is being done is done the way it was initially planned. So audit is a way of management control. All right. So in managing quality, we consistently audit quality management processes to ensure that the quality delivered is equal to what was initially designed in the project charter or what was initially developed in the project charter. So we need audits for management of quality. Then you remember I talked about prototypes, that's design for X. Okay, design for X can also be used for managing quality. So simple designs or simple products before we go into commercialization can also be used for managing quality. Then we have the problem solving. The problem solving here can be achieved through meetings. The problem solving here can be achieved through expert judgment. The problem solving here can be resolved through stakeholders' involvement. So problem solving can be quite diverse from different sources, but problem solving is a good tool for management of quality. Then we have the quality improvement methods. Okay, of course, we know that continuous improvement is key. So quality management, continuous improvement, continuous process improvement is key to quality management. So we must also find the relevant improvement that must be done and how those improvements must be integrated in the quality execution processes. Okay, so that's very, very important. Then on the output, we have the quality report, we have test and evaluation, we have change request, project management updates, we have project documents updates. So all of these are outputs from managing quality. Somebody wrote in the chat room from Malik Sobowale said problem solving can be achieved through feedback, and that is also good. That's great. Okay. And someone said, can you design or can you explain design for X? Okay. So design for X, you know, those days we used to say mathematics X, 2x plus y equal to 5. And let's say y is equal to 3. What is X? So you find X, right? So X is the unknown quality we want to find. We have it in the charter, but we don't have it on ground. So we are trying to use a simple design to find out if we can achieve that quality of X in the larger product of the project deliverable. So I will use a simple example. Let's assume you want to find out if you can cook egusi soup. Let's assume you are given a contract to cook soup, egusi soup for wedding, and they want to find out if you can really cook egusi soup. Then ask, okay, cook small egusi soup and bring for us. Let's test and find out if you can actually cook. That small egusi soup you're cooking is a total representation of the bigger soup you will cook for the wedding. So that design for X is that small egusi soup you're cooking that will justify for the bigger one you will cook at the end of the day. Okay. So Rahim Yunus, does that explain? Did I give you more understanding? All right, thank you. Okay, so finally, just on this preview, we'll now look at the quality, the last process there, which is controlling quality control. For those of us that came from the engineering perspective or science perspective generally, we always talk about quality control, quality assurance, quality management, and all of that. Those of us too in the education, we talk about quality management a lot. So quality education has to come out from quality management, right? Okay, so how do we ensure that what we have in the plan, in the quality plan, is going to be what we have as a deliverable, as a quality deliverable at the end of the project? That will be achieved through effective monitoring and control of the quality management plan So the quality control or project quality control helps us to achieve the things that are desired by the stakeholder from the initial charter, which has been improved on by going through the scope and then further improved on by designing quality policies, quality standards, quality expectations in the quality management plan. So the quality control is going to be a function of effective monitoring, effective evaluation, effective control of whatsoever that was written or that we are written in the quality management plan, which is a subset of the project quality management plan, or a subset of the project management plan rather. Okay, so in the control, we are looking at ensuring that all of the activities that are stated in the quality management plan are carried out to give the quality output at the end of the day. All right, so that's what we want to achieve. All right, so in the input we have the project management plan, and I think by now we know why we need the project management plan to control quality, because the project management plan contains the project quality plan, and the quality plan is needed to ensure that the quality control or quality of the product is being achieved at the end of the day. All right, then we need the project documents. We need approved change request. Yes, please note, we desired a particular quality in the charter, right? But it's important to know that as we go through the project, there could be quality changes that will be made. All right, there will be quality changes that will be made. Now, remember, we are using testing and inspection planning as one of the tools for planning quality, right? While we are testing, we are going to have deviations, obviously. We are going to have variations. In fact, we might end up having an entirely new method to achieving the desired quality. All right, so all of those changes that might emanate will be submitted as change request, which might end up as approved or non-approved. Now, for some of us that are into computer works, program designs, software development, and the like, website development, sometimes you want to write you have a particular frame of work you want to do. Then you want to use PHP. At the end of the day, you find out that, oh, maybe PHP might not be the best for me to use. Then you can go ahead and use CSS. Does that change the quality? It might not change it will not change the frame, but it might change the quality output at the end of the day. Do you get what I'm trying to say now? Let's assume you want to use a HTML to design a form. The objective of getting the form, the inclusions of the form will still be there. But you agree with me that if you use a PHP to design a form compared to when you use a HTML to design a form, people naturally will prefer the outcome, the quality output from PHP rather than HTML. All right. So in the process of controlling project quality, methods may vary. Test samples may at the end of the day have some variation from the control sample, okay, or from the initial expected quality standard or quality output. All right, so all of this will be accommodated in the approved change request. So whatsoever change that will help in giving out better quality, that will be approved. For the ones that will reduce the quality, that will not be approved. Then at the end of the day, we also have the deliverables. Remember, when we talk about deliverables also, I made mention when we are talking about scope management that deliverables will come in badges. So let's take, for instance, the case I just gave now. Somebody wants to design a website. Okay, of course, you don't just come up with the website in a twinkle of an eye. You first of all have some deliverables before you now end up with the website. Some of the deliverables you have could be the stakeholder requirements to the website. That's a deliverable because that will guide you. Then you have your website framework, the architecture of your website, which will be accepted, approved, or rejected by the stakeholder. That's another deliverable. Then you now have to set up a team of people that will work with you. So having the HR plan is another deliverable. Having the budget plan is another deliverable. Then having to now start working on the website, you'll find out that you will not work at all things at once. So you may have to work at, okay, you work at the hosting separately. That's a deliverable. You work at maybe some of the things that will be launched in a cloud or a cloud system or what. That's another deliverable. But the website at the end of the day will have to integrate all these deliverables together to give you the final deliverable. So in the quality deliverable, when you do those testing, that the test, the X product that will tell you that, yes, this is the quality that we need, is a deliverable. That deliverable will help you in developing the bigger deliverable or the major deliverable. All right, so deliverables, if you look at it, actually, it's deliverables. So it's not one. Okay. Then you have the work performance that will tell you how you're going. Then you have the enterprise environmental factors and the operational process asset, all as inputs to controlling quality. Then you have the tools and techniques. In the tools and techniques, you still have data gathering, you have data analysis, you have inspection, you have testing and product evaluations, you have data representations, and you have meetings. I think these ones are quite understandable based on the explanations we've made so far. Then on the input, you have the quality control measures. Yes, what will be the measures that you will put in place? What will be the metrics? What will be the checklist? Okay, that you will use to say, okay, when it is at this point, we can say quality is achieved or quality is not achieved. Okay, so what will you use as your standard for acceptance of quality? What will you use as your standard for rejecting quality? Okay, that will be your quality control measurement. Then you have the verified deliverables. They have the work performance information, change request, project management plan updates, and project documents update. All of these are just a way of introducing the quality management plan to us. Now, I would like to know if you have a question for me before I proceed. If you have a question for me before I proceed, please go ahead and ask me your question, and we will we'll look at it before proceed. If you have a question for me, please feel free. Go ahead, ask me those questions. There is an area you don't understand, but I think we've been able to explain these things in simple ways that we should be able to practice. Okay. All right. Please, if you have a question for me, just raise your hand, and then we'll look at them, look at the questions. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question, and we'll walk through it. We'll use one question, we'll use one case study. We'll use one case study for product and one case study for service. And then we'll walk through it and find out how quality management can be applied. So I'm going to use one in the banking industry, and then I'm going to use one in the food industry. So let's say in the banking industry, we want to develop a product that we want to give to customers. So in this era that we are now, what could be the best products? Let's say we have product X. That's a new product in the banking industry that we want to give to customers. Now, by charter, what do you think that product X should be achieving in this particular era we are now? Do you get my question? We have a new product in the banking sector. That product is called Product X. Now, that product was developed to manage the economic situation we have now in across the globe. Now, by charter, what do you think customers will see in the product to be able to appreciate the product? Now, I will need your voice on this. I will need your voice on this. Can somebody help me? What do you think should be contained in the charter for such a product? What are the things you tell customers now that this product will do this, so this product will do that, or this product will do this, that they will want to buy? They want to come and open such accounts. Are we together? Please, if you can hear me loud and clear, can you type 1 in the chat room? If you can hear me loud and clear, type 1. Okay. Okay, let's assume you're not a banker. Don't worry, you're not a banker. All right. So a banker came to you and told you that this is the product that we just introduced now. This product will help us in a time like this. So what will that product, what will they tell you about the product that will impress you as the stakeholder now? What will be the things they will tell you about the product that will impress you? Okay, I thought I saw Victor's hand up. Did he bring it down? Okay, please kindly unmute Victor or Chibu. Let's hear from him. Okay, from Jumoke Salam, he said this product should give loan with low interest rates. Okay, from John Arroyo, I say products that will enable you to access loan with less interest. Okay, had Victor gone off?
His hand is down now.
Okay. Okay, we can use the chat room and go ahead. His hand is up again. Can we have him come back on stage?
Okay, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Victor.
Okay, some of the things I wanted to mention have already been said on the chat room. So I wanted to say, if the product can give a sort of incentive or relief in a time like this, then I think customers should, or the stakeholders will be interested in such a product.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Okay, let's hear from Engineer Simon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. The product, my expectations in that product will be talk of cost reductions, quality improvement, for better performance, and to satisfy the customer.
Okay. So cost reductions,
quality improvement.
Quality improvement.
And what you have to look at the baseline, what was offered before, what is going to be an improvement on what you are doing, and the performance of what you are doing currently compared to what it was before, and how will the customer be satisfied by those delivery, by the product, at the end product, what's going to be the customer satisfaction rate.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's hear from Detunji Fasuranti.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Adetunji, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. So my take would be that for the banking sector or for the banker to want to preach a strategy to me, I know they also have their own motive. They have something they want to gain. So in as much as they have something they want to gain, I also want to see what I will benefit from the product. So I'll be looking out for stuff like maybe improve interest rates, in as much as they also have something they want to benefit. So that's the angle I will look at it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. From Trustlin, she said the product should be customized to address the need of the day, and that's giving out loans with high moratorium and single-digit interest. Please, Trustlin, I don't know what is moratorium. Also, group loans where the group members will be collateral, substitute for each other, will be appreciated by customers. Okay, the payment plan and duration should be considered too. That's from Jumoke Salami, and from Godwin Novinho. It's a product should be easily accessible and time benefiting. All right, so these are the expectations of stakeholders now. So what this means is the bank can take this and decide whether to improve on the product or not. Now, if you proceed with trying to give this out as a product, then you have to go and now do an expert judgment, industry expert judgment. Then you now start doing data gathering. Like for those that are talking about low interest rate, now you can now go to the market and find out if they actually people who really want this low interest. Because if you're talking about low interest now, that means we should have high volume of turnover before the bank will make profit, right? Then we'll now begin to analyze the data collected. That will determine whether we will go into it or not. And by the time, the decision will be made. And by the time, they start testing the product. Now, do you know that there are several products companies produce, most companies produce yearly? There are some products that won't last for more than 3 months. They'll just pack it. Why? Because after testing the product, they found that customers are not really appreciating this product. Okay. I want to ask another question here. I don't know how many of us are conversant with all of these network people. But if there is anyone here that use MTN, there is one they call MTN Nyaf Nyaf. There is one they call Beta Talk. And there are your standard tariffs. Yeah? So we have a tariff of 11 kobo per second. And then you have, is it Beta Talk? Beta Talk, they give you 100% of what you recharge. Now, for those of us that do Beta Talk and you do standard tariff, I want to ask, which one is a better quality? Is it the standard tariff, or is it the Nyafu Nyafu, or is it the, which other one again? Beta Talk. Which one is a better tariff? If you've ever used the two, can you tell us in the chat room, which one do you think is a better tariff? Are we together? Those of us that use MTN or you use Glo, 1,000 for 5 gig and all of that. Which one is actually a better quality? Is it the standard tariff, or is it the psychologically motivated tariff? Which one is a better tariff to you? Okay, so from Innocent, he said the standard is better. Trustly said MTN normal tariff is better. Okay. Can we have more? Okay, another person said, for me, the standard tariff. Okay. All right, so we all have our own inclinations. Now, why? Let me give you some case study. One, in my lifetime, I went and I thought it was the same thing. Okay. No, MTN Plus is still a standard tariff. We are talking about all those nyafu nyafu. What they call the other one? Nyafu nyafu, Beta Talk, and all of that. Now I went and bought an MTN SIM card recently, and when I opened it, they said it was nyafu nyafu. So if you recharge 100 naira, they will give you 400 naira. But do you know the amazing thing? I used 398 naira for 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, I used 398 naira. Then I now used my standard tariff to make call. In 8 minutes, I was charged less than 8 naira. I was now wondering, I said, what is the essence of the plenty data or the plenty airtime you're giving me? In fact, I have one SIM card now that they loaded it with more than 6,000 naira. But I am now using it because a call you will make in 200 naira for a case. You can use 3,000 naira from that 6,000. So you'll find out that most quality developments are based on psychology, not on real benefits. Most quality development are based on psychological marketing, not on real quality. And do you know why it is so? It is so because enterprise environmental factors say so. I don't know whether you're getting where I'm going to now. Enterprise environmental factors, people believe in give us more for less. So by volume, it will look as though you have more. But by quality, you have lesser than the person that have less, as it were. So there are so many qualities that companies come with that at the end of the day, you feel you are enjoying quality, but you're actually not enjoying quality. So you have to understand what your market, what your enterprise environmental factors are saying as part of the basic considerations in designing quality. Okay, in designing quality. So that's very, very important. And recently, I started observing some things from one of the banks I use. I've been vouching for this bank, that this bank, they don't charge you. What? I didn't know I was deceiving myself. And whenever they print my statement of account, I don't really bother checking all those things. So recently, I think it was this week, I asked them to send me a copy of my statement of account, and they did. And I was now checking. I saw where they were charging me very good money. I said, how come I didn't notice? Now, I didn't notice because they were not sending me SMS to that. So psychologically, they've been able to manage my psychology of believing that these people don't charge money. But meanwhile, they charge like the other banks as they do. In fact, they are looking like they are charging more than others. But psychologically, since you're not receiving that emotional trigger of SMS, 2,128 naira service charge, you are not receiving it. So it makes you feel like they're offering better quality. Okay, so psychologically, we can manage customers' expectations to quality. But in project management, I want to give you this warning. Is a very big and sound warning. In project management, we don't do sugarcoating. You can do sugarcoating in business. You can do sugarcoating in marketing. You can do sugarcoating in sales. But in project management, we don't do sugarcoating. How do I mean? We give you what we say we will give you. We don't give you something that look like what we say we give you. Do you get that? So if a project is saying it is a 5-story building with solar everywhere, that's what it means. So it doesn't mean 5-story building with a power generator standby in case they take. That's not what it means. So we have to understand what quality is. We also have to understand what customers call quality before we go into quality development. All right. Now, if we start taking different instances, if you take market survey of different things we call quality, you find out that there are two quality. There are two quality that we always find. We have the standard quality and we have perceived quality. We have the standard quality and we have the perceived quality. The perceived quality is what will make someone go and bring out maybe 45,000 naira and go and buy a tablet, and in his mind he's carrying a tablet that is equivalent to iPhone tablet or Apple tablet. And that is it. Are they not the same sizes? Don't they turn on and turn off? Can't you use them to open documents and all of that? But if you look at it, that's the person is working with perceived quality. He's not having the actual quality. It is perceived quality that will make someone go to a booker and eat food and come out and tell you that after all, this food I'm eating here is the same thing that they cook at the quick service restaurant. It's the same thing you see, sweet sensation. It's the same. After all, rice is rice, beans is beans. But the person is no longer considering the health quality too. Is no longer considering the standards of production. But for the fact that he had been able to satisfy his stomach, he has the perception that he had achieved quality. So you need to understand your market before you start building quality. You need to understand your customers. You need to understand your stakeholders before you start building quality. All right, and I think that's a good one this morning. So if there is a question for me, please go ahead. If there is a contribution you want to make, please go ahead. And in a moment, we'll be rounding up. We'll be rounding up by 8:30, and we are almost there. We'll be rounding up by 8:30, and we are almost there. So if there is any question, please go ahead and ask your question. Okay, so what we have here on this diagram is just a representation of the overview that we mentioned. Please, I want to make a suggestion. If you're using a phone or a tablet, please kindly put it on, is it landscape, so that you'll be able to see the picture in a larger format. If you're using a phone or a tablet, please kindly put your phone or tablet in a landscape, not in portrait, so that you'll be able to see it in larger format. So if you look at what we have here, from plan quality, we go down, it serves as an input to project integration. So if you see it, plan quality is going down to integration. Manage quality is also going down to integration. So controlling quality is a function we see in execution, right? So from plan quality gets to be an input, from manage quality gets to be an input, then we'll have the control quality. Okay, and this control quality is also going to be paying good attention to the validated scope, the verified scope. Okay, then this managed quality will have its input towards other project processes. So have the quality inclusion in schedule management, quality inclusion in scope management, quality inclusion in human resource management, and all of that. So there is going to be management of quality all around the project processes. All right. Okay. Now, quickly, let's look at some of the key concepts for project quality management. For me, I think we're actually done with this quality management, but let's quickly look at the key concept for project quality management. Project quality management addresses the management of the project and the deliverables of the project. It applies to all projects, regardless of the nature of their deliverables. Quality measures and techniques are specific to the type of deliverables being produced by the project. Now, I'm going through the project management book of knowledge itself. All right, so I want us to pay attention to some of these key things that are coming up. We'll still look at tailoring considerations, but in this key concept, they've just brought in something in the tailoring consideration aspect. Now look at this. It's a quality measures and techniques are specific. They are not generic. They are specific to the type of deliverables being produced by the project. So if you want to create the deliverable using a website for a case study, the quality deliverables you want to get from a website, the quality measures and techniques will be specific to the functionalities you want to have on that website. Do you get what I just said now? The functionalities on the website will determine the kind of quality measures and techniques that you will use. All right, that's very, very important. Now, let's assume you want to let's take the quick service restaurant as a case study. You will agree with me that the quality measures and techniques to quick service restaurants are specific to quick service restaurants. You don't find them on the quality metrics and techniques you find on QSR. You don't find it on the roadside. Those ones also have their own quality metrics, right? Now, listen to me again. When you want to build a 3-bedroom flat, compared to when you want to build a 10-story building, if there are civil engineers or structural engineers or architects here, you will agree with me that the quality measures and techniques are different. So the 3-bedroom flat has its own quality measure specific to 3-bedroom flat. And in most cases, the quality measures and techniques are also specific to the environment. There's the kind of soil quality and all of that. You have some quality measures specific to developing something of value in such environment. In the same vein, when you're doing the 10-story building, the quality measures and techniques will also be specific to that. Now, let's come down a little to customer service that we use in the bank. Do you notice that different bank products have different quality service requirements? I will give you an example. Those days we had Diamond Bank. I don't know whether they still have that particular product in Access Bank now. But there is this account they call exclusive Diamond account. I don't know if anyone here can remember that account, exclusive account. Now, one of the days, my account manager, then is the account officer rather, she was trying to market the thing to me. And she was telling me things like, with this, you have access to a Visa card that you can use to travel anywhere in the world. You can use it in over, 21 international lounges. So you don't need to bother your head about what you need to do with your, where you need to get some things when you get to some countries. And you don't need to come to the bank. The bank will need to come to you to collect your money or serve you from home and all of that. Now, can you compare that to savings account? Can you compare that quality of service to service in savings account? You cannot. So that the quality measures and techniques for the exclusive Diamond account, we are specific to that. You don't deposit 5,000 naira and you expect to get tea coffee, a cup of coffee rather, or a cup of tea when you come to the bank. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So we must understand that. So for example, the project quality management of software deliverables may use different approaches and measures from those used when building a nuclear power plant. In either case, failure to meet the quality requirements can have serious negative consequences for any or all of the project stakeholders. So for example, meeting customer requirements by overworking the project may result in decreased profit and increased levels of overall project risks, employee attrition, errors, or rework. The meeting project schedule objective by rushing planned quality inspections may result in undetected errors. And this is where crashing, you remember we talked about project crashing, schedule crashing in project schedule management. That could also be a case. If crashing is not well managed, it can result to what we're having here now. Okay, so we can have undetected errors, decreased profit, and increased post-implementation risks. Okay, so we've been talking about quality. We've not been able to define quality. So what is quality? Could there be a difference between quality and grade? So quality and grade are not the same concepts. Quality as a delivered performance or result is the degree to which a set of inherent characteristics fulfill requirements that will be found in ISO 9000 subsection 18. There were some people I was talking to some times ago. Some people asked me the question, what's the correlation between ISO 9000 or ISO 21500 versus the PMI standard? And I said something. ISO is a global standard. We have institutions that teach ISO standards. And project management is one of the institutions that adopt ISO standards. ISO on themselves, they don't give you certifications, but they can accredit institutions to give you those certifications. All right. So somebody might go and do ISO 9000 as a course. Another person might do ISO 21500 as a course. So somebody might be here taking project management professional. Another person might be somewhere taking ISO 21500 as a certification. Both are the same. Now, on the other hand, what is grade? Grade as a design intent is a category assigned to deliverables having the same functional use but different technical characteristics. They have the same functional use but different technical characteristics. So, example, you have which product can I use an example? So let's assume you have Bentley and you have Venza. So they have the same functional use, but technically their characteristics are different. A friend of mine told me that there is a difference between motor and car. Well, he knows it's different. Okay. Sometimes I will enjoy certain degree of value in certain products. What we're actually enjoying is just technical differences. For example, somebody will say iPhones camera are sharper than other phones. Does it mean the other phone doesn't have camera? No, they still have the same functions of snapping, recording, and all of that. But when it now comes to quality of output, technically they are different. So grade talks about deliverables having the same functional use, but different technical characteristics. So the project manager and the project management team are responsible for managing the trade-offs associated with delivering the required levels of both quality and grade. Why a quality level that fails to meet quality requirements is always a problem. A low-grade product may not be a problem. For instance, it may be a problem if a suitable low-grade product, one with a limited number of features, is of high quality, no obvious defects. In this example, the product will be appropriate for its general purpose of use. It may be a problem if a high-grade product, one with numerous features, is of low grade, many defects. In essence, a high-grade feature set would prove ineffective and or inefficient due to low quality. So prevention is preferred over inspection in quality management. I love that word. You know, they say prevention is better than cure. So in quality management, prevention is preferred over inspection. And that's why you need to take the time to plan your quality, you manage your quality, and you control your quality. You plan, you manage, and you control your quality. I will be rounding up in the next 2 minutes right now. It is better to design quality into deliverables rather than to find quality issues during inspection. The cost of preventing mistakes is generally much less than cost of correcting mistakes when they are found by inspection or during visit. The cost of preventing mistakes is generally much less, rather. Is generally what? Much less. So what it simply means is that for us to have a good quality management plan, it should follow the proactive dimension rather than the reactive dimension. I will say that again. Quality management should be proactive rather than reactive. Quality management should be proactive rather than what? Reactive. Quality management should be proactive rather than reactive. Quality management should be proactive rather than reactive. Quality management should be proactive rather than reactive. Okay. Depending on the project and the industry area, the project quality team may need a working knowledge of statistical control processes to evaluate data contained in quality control outputs. The team should know the differences between the following pairs of terms: prevention, attribute sampling. In prevention, keeping errors out of the process, and inspection, keeping errors out of the hands of the customer. Attribute sampling, the result either conforms or does not conform. And variable sampling, the result is rated on a continuous scale that measures the degree of conformity. They will have tolerance, specified range of acceptable results. They will have control limits that identify the boundaries of common variations in a statistically stable process or process performance. Now, when we come back in the afternoon, we'll take some more time and complete this course of quality management. But at this moment, when we come back, we'll continue from where we start. That will be by, is it 1 o'clock in the afternoon? We'll continue from there. So please, we can go ahead and share the attendance now while we take questions or comments. Then we'll be rounding up. Okay, so I'm seeing somebody from the chat room. He said quality techniques in construction of road in Lagos State and Bayelsa State are different due to environment. All right, so that is a good identification of facts. And somebody said, show the diagram again. All right, so this is the diagram. So if you want to screenshot it, please go ahead. Okay, so before we close this class this morning, could there be any question for me, please? I'm handing over to Princess before we call it a day.